Just want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting me here. It's the past 2 weeks have been interesting. Handling work schedule and just life has been a little bit rough, but then I come over here and I see some of the people talking and the support you guys have been giving me over some of these videos, and it's been absolutely amazing. I really thank everything. I just looking at just like my Rings of Power of videos, I'm getting like up to like, I think one of them is Rings of Power and How It Ruins Tolkien's Work, has like 150 views on it, which just absolutely floors me. It just boggles my mind. Now again, you know, like that may not seem like a huge big deal to anyone, like 150 views. What are you talking about? Like from some guy who was just starting out in YouTube, that seems pretty big. I'm just amazed by that. That something like, because I showed these things kind of like to my friends and family, you know, like that they kind of help support me and do stuff here. So like I have a very small, minuscule audience here, you know. So, but the fact that you guys seem to be interested in all of this is just, I just cannot thank you guys enough, and just the support, because when it kind of have like a bit of a rough day and you just want to come home and you go open up the computer and you say like, wow, the support is coming in, and I just want to thank every one of you. And I noticed there are some sort of comments going on some of these ones right here, because again, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if like okay, do I like everything? Do I comment on everyone? So again, I have no idea what should be done in YouTube, because hey, I'm just starting out, so since I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I'm just gonna go ahead and what I want to do, and I'm just gonna go over some of the comment section and kind of like answer kind of like a fan mail. We're gonna talk about what you guys have been talking about. There's some interesting comments that you guys have said here that I want to talk about. And so the past 2 weeks we have vintage science fiction audiobooks. Thank you. We have At Least Jackson kept it. So we're talking about Peter Jackson, the Rings of Power. This is my Rings of Power and How It Ruins Tolkien's Work video here. At least Jackson kept it in the spirit of Tolkien's work. At least, yeah, I tried to keep it in some of the spirit of it. Yeah, you know, he changed it a little bit, but you know, not too die-hard to be like, okay, he absolutely ruined Tolkien. I'm like, no, like the reason I needed to talk about some of these videos is that because the Peter Jackson movies shaped my childhood. It's like when I was, I want to say 13 years old watching this, like it was burnt into my memory that it got me into like, I want to do medieval fantasy like forever. Like this is who I am. I don't know if you can see a bunch of swords that I have right here. The whole genre YouTube channel that I have is talking about medieval stuff. But yeah, so I have to get some of this. Some of these videos are work for me. In other words, I have to get some of these off of my chest. But you know, eventually we'll go back to talking about stuff that I want to talk about here. But yeah, At Least Jackson kept it in the spirit of Tolkien's work. Rings of Power, not so much. It bears very little resemblance to Tolkien's vision of Middle-earth, and in my humble opinion, is an abomination. Vintage science fiction audiobooks, that pretty much sums it up. There was a brief moment where I was hopeful, so I'm like, okay, it could surprise us. I want it to be good, but yeah, from the get-go, from the opening, right out of the gate, I was like, this looks, and then pretty much every episode that came afterward it just went like, it's weird. It's a train wreck, and in some ways you are fascinated in watching it just destroy, and in some ways it is the slowest train wreck, because you know some of these episodes are just so boring, it's just so long that I'm like, I'm still watching the train crash. It's like, why are we here? So thank you, Vintage Science Fiction Audiobooks, for the comment. Love that. Also, speaking of J.R.R. Tolkien, I noticed that in your channel you do like a whole bunch of audiobooks and stuff like there, and I would be really interested if you were able to get Out of the Silent Planet, which seems to be more like a consensus, generally solid 4 out of 5 rating source, so I know it's not like you know, like huge or anything, but I would be interested if you would have it, because you know they're talking about, you know, like vintage science fiction, you know, like this is kind of like C.S. Lewis, a contemporary of J.R.R. Tolkien. If you would have access to that sort of book right there, and if you have an audio format of it. That would be love to listen to that one right there. So, thank you. Vintage science fiction audiobooks. Love to see an audiobook of that one. So, just some recommendation for you there. David Stone High, but not that kind of high. It's a different Haigh. Feel free to comment if that like means a particular thing, or you're just like one of the play on words like I did Falchion for Falchion. So hey, commenting on vintage science fiction audiobooks. Right with you on that. This series is an utter scandal and a travesty on so many levels. Pretty visuals and some very nicely done vistas, I'd mind. ... But yeah, that unfortunately, I don't know if I can even give it that though. Because, like, okay, we live in a post the Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, Independence Day. Like, we live in this area, which, by the way, those were all pre-2000s. So, like, okay, like, we had dinosaurs eating people. We had aliens coming to Earth. We had, like visuals that are able to capture. We've had access to this. And then so I'm like, okay, at this kind of point in time, can we even say, like, well, you know, it has some pretty visuals, and say, like, I mean, like this point, I'm like, if you're spending on a budget of this much money, we kind of expect that, right? So, I mean, granted, you know, they're there, they are pretty. You know, there were some visits, but then again, of course, most of that was just New Zealand in general, which I haven't been, would love to visit New Zealand, just actually see some of the actual places where they filmed, see like the actual sets they've permanently built. That would be great. But yeah, I don't know if we can even give it that, just as the pretty vistas aside, mind you. If I will say, when continuing my whole Rings of Power, at the end, I'll finally give a final verdict, but I'll go ahead and give a verdict. My current verdict is a 2 out of 10 for the Rings of Power, because there are little bits and little moments in each one where it's like okay, somebody put in some effort in this particular area, either like this particular scene of like dialogue right here, or in this particular set design, like, oh, I can make out certain things that they were trying to pay homage to something right there, or this particular actor tried to do something there. It's like a 2 out of 10. That's the only reason it's a 2 out of 10 for me right now, because I'm like, I can glimpse moments where people are trying to, like, okay, someone, somewhere, somehow put enough effort to try and get that onto film. I'm like, hey, like, I appreciate what you tried to do. Like, whoever was involved in there, I'm like, thanks for trying to stick to Tolkien and try and make it work. The rest of the whole picture as a whole is just... So, yeah. So I appreciate you, David Stone High, for trying to see some of the lights in there. I'm like, there are some aspects of it there. But so yeah, appreciate the comment. Thanks. Anton Bobrov. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering all of these names, but I'm trying to do my best here. Anton Bobrov. It's more like how Rings of Power destroys men's asses. Yeah, because they feel, I guess they feel like, to quote Rings of Power, and sort of like the showrunners here, they're giving this and they want us to like it. And they're gonna bend us over, and they're gonna give us the meat, and they're gonna give it to us raw. Oh boy. Oh gosh. Okay. Thanks, Bravo, for the laugh. Love that. Dave Pork. That is an amazing name. Dave Pork. All one word. Just stumbled across your video. I think you're good. Oh, thanks, man. And you know what you're talking about. Hey, somewhat, hopefully. Looking forward to seeing more videos. Also subscribe. Hey, thanks, Dave. Love that. I mean, what? How many subscribers do I even have? Does it even say it on here? Yeah, like, here we go. I can't even... current subscribers, 11. Hey, so Dave, you're one of the 11 here. So, hey, I appreciate that, man. You know, like, you know, it's a just small thing, and you know, the thing that you think that I'm good and know what I'm talking about, you're like, I'm trying. Is that sad when, like, in this small, puny YouTube outlet that I have, trying to learn and put some thought and effort into it, has more thought and effort than to say, like, the Rings of Power does? Is that my mistake? to think that I'm trying to put logic into the Rings of Power? Is that my fault? Or am I doing this all wrong here? Because you know, I'm trying to analyze something like, okay, how do you get from point A to point B to point C? Is there even a point C in this thing? You know, like, how does all of this make sense? And, you know, like me, I'm trying to put, you know, videos that try and make sense and some thought cohesive together so people can, you know, enjoy. You know, like, is it? Because I'm like, do people actually like? I mean, like, I'm just a tiny blip on the radar here, and like if people seem to be enjoying the work that I put out, as minuscule as it is, and is that more entertaining than the Rings of Power? Also doesn't help because, you know, like there's like an hour and like 10 minutes long. I do have some videos that are like quite a length, but you know, like I'm trying to give some of them are more on like the informational side. You know, some of them are trying to be more like me, just having fun. Here, I'm just gonna go and hack shields to pieces and see what fragments remain. Some of them, like, I'm gonna just rant about Rings of Power. People seem to be enjoying it, so appreciate you all, you guys. And that's from Dave Pork. Again, love the name. That's fantastic. Mojo Shmee. Why do all these people have so much more cooler names than I do? You know, like, I have Falcon, which is, you know, I try to be, like, somewhat presentable, like some kind of professional, like it's, you know, like I know what I'm talking about a little bit, you know, something like. But yeah, I guess you guys have that freedom to be like free, loose, and have fun out here. And we have Mojo Shmee and Dave Pork. Man, I wish I had like cool names like that. But anyway, Mojo Shmee? What do you gotta say? I'd say that Tolkien's work ruins the Rings of Power. Nothing can ruin J.R.R. Tolkien. Yes. J.R.R. Tolkien, if it has been like the bar, the gold standard of like fantasy writing in general, where like pretty much everything is compared to, you have a high standard even if you're trying to put it onto like cinematic portrayal. Like, people are gonna judge it. Not to, again, going on a little bit of a side tangent here, not to say that there aren't things that people enjoy of literary works that people may admit, like, you know, it's kind of got a little problems with it, you know, but we still kind of love it anyway. Sure, everyone does. But, and so, like, hey, sometimes there are, like, works that people say, like, hey, people seem to like this, but it's kind of bad. Can we try and, like, adapt it and kind of fix it? And sometimes they turn out great. But, yeah, when you have this, the opposite section, where something is really great, and then you make this. It's like, wow. But anyway, thanks, Mojo Shmee. That is Shmee, right? It's S-C-H, Shmee? Or is that, I hope I'm pronouncing all of these correctly here. Alejandro Leavano? I guess. Sorry, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is on Rings of Power Report Part 1, episodes 1 through 4 now. YouTube randomly recommended me this video. That's kind of how YouTube works, doesn't it? Randomly recommended me this video and just wanted to see what kind of madman has a 2-hour review on the series. Best of luck, mate. Thank you. We're gonna need it. like, to fully try and dissect this. And again, like, I mentioned previously that I'm only gonna be talking about the Southland arc and just how, just that particular plot right there, like, how does that make sense? You know, forget about Galadriel and Numenor, forget about Harfoots, forget about Elrond and what's happening in Elfland, you know, just the Southlands. See how that works. And I'm like, and again, I'll mention that in the Southland video, like, okay, I have the most leniency on this because all of these characters right here are kind of made up. You know, all of these characters are not from Tolkien lore. You've made everything, so I have some leniency. I'm like, okay, this is not like established Galadriel or Elendil or Elrond. So hey, you have a little bit of freedom here, and this is what you went with. But yeah, Madman with the 2-hour review kind of pretty much sums me up, so I appreciate that. Alright, next on the list we have, is that C Popeye? It's C-E, and then my eyes see Popeye. Like, so is that how you pronounce it? Again, I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. See Popeye, he just says, epic! With an exclamation point. So, hey, I appreciate the compliment there. You know, I don't know really how epic, you know, that is, but then again, you know, the Rings of Power episodes, the entire series sure wasn't epic. They tried to be, but they weren't. But I appreciate that you think that this, my little, you know, review on this is epic. So yeah, interestingly, I happened to click on some of the videos that you have on your channel there. I'm seeing a bunch of looks like parkour videos. Would love to see I think, again, I myself do not have a whole lot of experience in the full swordsmanship. I mean, I collect and I practice some swords, you know, but I believe that with you, if that's what you do in your whole parkour skills, and my basic, you know, swordsmanship skills would probably make a better sword fighting battle sequence better than they could. So, you would be epic in that one there. Not them. We could do it. So, thank you again for, I hope I'm pronouncing that, Sepapai. Again, I'm really sorry. Let me know if that's wrong, but hey, I appreciate the comment. We got Monicum. Again, I hope I pronounced it correctly. I admire the commitment to create this board. Yes, because I have my my Word document right here, and it shows like all the bullet points that I'm madly typing away, figuring out everything, and then the main points that I try to get, I'm like, okay, I can't really focus everything on here to try and get them to you. So I'm like, hey, like what else do I have here? Because again, I'm a budding YouTube channel. What options do I have? I'm still learning. Like, I got a whiteboard over here. Hey, you know what? That works. Let's just get some dry erase markers and just put on some main points over there and see what we got to see. So you guys seem to enjoy it, and it was fun just figuring out putting these stick figures up there, like to figure like hopefully, because that was another thing. In that video, I had like a whole cast up on the top right there where I tried to reinforce the point of like saying names over and over again and saying who they were, because there was many times as I was going through the entire series where I'm like, I'm seeing a character, I'm like, okay, I should know this person's name, but I don't remember it. You know, like, so, and that was kind of like another subtle hint. So like, hey, as I'm, you know, saying these names, I'm hoping that at least you guys were able to figure out, you know, like, who these characters were and their names were, because like, even after like halfway through the season, I was like, I still don't know who these people are. So, but, yeah, so that whiteboard was fun to create. So thanks, Monica. Love the comment there. Then we have looks like Meowski. It's got 3 eyes. So it's Meowski as opposed to Meowsky. So Meowski, I'm going to say on my Medieval Foresters one. Ooh, it's got a big one here. Hello, I have been a forester my entire life. Hey, alright. I found a group of royal foresters in quotes. One of their biggest expectations is expensive clothing that in earlier times was paid for by the kinship. So for a working class stiff who can't afford royal prices for my garb, yeah, I understand that, I would like to know what exactly they were wearing back then. This group expects all or mostly green with a warm hood, okay? They expect some a peasant to afford it, okay? We live in New England, it gets cold, lol. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about this one. I'm going to go ahead and I happen to have some stuff that I apologize for the room. I'm going to move the camera out and you might see like the whole setup that I have. It's kind of a mess, but everything is currently spread out in my living room right here. But I'm going to move the camera back a little bit. Let's move that back there. Let's zoom out on the camera. So there, yeah, like you can see the kind of mess that I have here. So revealing the whole footage like it's not all gloss and glitz and glamour, like it's kind of a mess right here. So let's see if if I'm standing right here, can you see everything right here? Okay, we're gonna go with that. All right, move the table a little bit out of the way. Okay, so specifically medieval, like royal foresters. Okay, so as the types of clothing that people have would be generally in 4 different categories. We have what's called the laborer or peasant, then we have nobility, we have military, and then clergy. Those are kind of like the 4 general areas that have their own typical vestments that you see each one wearing. So we're going to go with more of the laborer division here. Okay, so this is the garb that we kind of wear right now. trousers, or pants as we call them there, did not really exist until later. From most of the medieval period, they always have what's called brays and hose. I will do my best to input photos into all of this right here, so you can probably see some like medieval pictures right there. But brays is kind of similar to like a interesting, kind of weird medieval loincloth type thing. And then hose is, I probably would think, or hosen, is like, you have the hose that goes onto each leg, and they weren't attached. Like they had one for this leg, they had one for this leg. So kind of think of like a really long sock. That's basically what it is. And some other times it was cut off at the knee, and so then they had like a little cord that would tie to up there, and then that would hold it there. But other sometimes they would go up most of the way, and then they would have like some sort of attachment right here that they can actually tie it onto their waist right here, so that the waist is kind of holding them up rather than the knee. Because I've had certain things where it's kind of like attached to the leg and it keeps kind of sliding down a little bit. I don't know if you're aware of that, but yeah. So that's why if I had actual hosen, then it would actually be like attached to like the waist, so that the waist, like having like a belt of some kind, would like hold it up right there. So that's kind of like pretty much what basically, as far as the lower section right there. As far as shoes go, I kind of have, again, these are my modern types of shoes right here. Again, not, like right here, but these are kind of like what you would kind of see right there. They have like flats, they have like a leather sole, they have just a bit of a tongue right there, and they have lacing right there. I'll see if I can put up some images of what some of those shoes are. And then of course it's up to you of like what kind of, this is kind of like basic, because you can do all kinds of fashion. Later on in the medieval period, we kind of get the actual like swashbuckling style boots right here. That's more like, okay, we're into like, that's more like Renaissance type area, although late medieval period. As far as I'm concerned, as far as where I'm like, don't be too hard on me. Like this is basically what I have right here. But yeah, most generally working with leather. They did serve the purposes. We don't need to get fully elaborate. Although I do, I must say, I do love the types of shoes that have like the really long pointy toe curled like boots right there. Like that was the fashion back then. That's what they wanted. So there, that type of things that they had right there. As far as shoes and like hosen right there. Am I a bit too dark right there? Do you need a little bit more light? I'm going to go turn on one of my lights on right here. See if I got, of course I'm gonna be blinding myself here as soon as I do this one. Ow! Wow! Okay. How about that? Is that a little better? Go with that one there. Oh, wow, that light's bright. Okay. But, hey, go with that. Let me know if that seems a little bit better right there. Again, like the viewfinder on the camera is really tiny, and I have terrible eyesight even with glasses, so I can't really quite tell how I was looking right there. But I'm gonna go with this one, because we're making it up as we go. We generally have what's called an undershirt, but basically this one, we call it a t-shirt, mostly white. For men and women, it could be, like shirt length. Sometimes it could be more like tunic length, and sometimes it could go all the way down to the floor. But there, probably for men, probably who are actually using more wearing more tunics at that point, probably have like the shorter length. They have some names for, I want to say the female version. I think it's called a shift, or there's a French word. I think I get it. It's French, so I don't know. Is it pronounced chemise or chemise? I don't know. But also like men had a kind of a version like this as well. And that's sort of like undergarment right there, and that was like the basic layer that you wore. Then you had an actual shirt or tunic. So I got mine right here. Right here, this is the kind of one that I have right here. For men, it would probably be more of the tunic, meaning that it was like cut off more around the knee length right there. So this is what I have right here. So yeah, it's round knee right here, so that'd be more tunic length. Men could have it, going down to more floor level. For women, that was generally the common. It was like had to be down to all the way down to the floor. That was basically that or more a dress or a kirtle, as was what they called it right there. But this would be the typical garment. Now, for some of the ways how I can kind of cheat the system. Now, as you said that we live in New England, it gets cold. I know for me, who live in Illinois, most of the kind of reenactment that we do is in June, July. So we're like in the heat of summer, so it's very warm. And normally the types of fabrics that you would find in the medieval period would be linen or wool. And those are the most common types of fabric that you would find. And I would say on a generally speaking level that if it were in the summer, you would choose the lighter, more breathable fabric of linen to wear. And then during the colder, you would use the more thermogenic wool to help keep heat in. So for me in June and July in America here, where it can get pretty warm in the Midwest, I kind of cheat the system a little bit. And I have these Under Armour, well, it's not really Under Armour, but that's like probably the most you would get. But these are workout or really sports compression pants right there for like muscle. I have them right there. And, it's polyester and spandex, but, from not too far away, could you tell the difference? It's very breathable. So that's one of the nice things, so that if you're in hot weather, then yes, this would be one of the things that I'm here. Because if I'm wearing a tunic over this, could you possibly tell? I don't know. Could you? And also, because you could use different colors. I'll probably get some images from there that the medieval period, they loved colors. Speaking of green, if you say you're looking for green, you'll find out that green and red was a very prolific combination of colors that people wore back then. So this would be right here. So I would have this underneath here. This one would be under here for my hosen right there. And I would have my green tunic right here. And this is what mine would look like. So that's what again, I would not have the actual boots because that would just be weird for this type of period. It would be more like these shoes, but I don't have actual type of medieval style shoes yet. I'm still working on it. There's still a couple stuff that I'm still working on right here. For the winter, my guess, because even I'm kind of looking at sort of Amazon multi-packs of women's leggings, specifically fleece lined. Because, hey, one, it's a type of wool. That's what they used back then. So there's kind of a plus on that. But, from a good distance, if it's, depending on how the exterior is, if it's an all, simple color scheme in the front, that you could have those on, and could people tell that, it could be, polyester or nylon or whatever type of outer form it is. But, it's fleece lined, it's thermal warming, and because only women, you have that thing, or suddenly you get leggings like that, because that's not a thing that guys wear. But I'm looking to get a couple pairs, so we'll see if that one helps as well. Because I could definitely see in a pinch, sure, yeah, you could wear that, as opposed to making individual sort of sock implements that you have to tie around your knees or whatever. So there's little trade tricks that we have here. This one. So this is this tunic that I have right here. These white strips right here did not exist in the original tunic that I had. These ones, I had to cut the sleeves and add this white fabric on here to make the sleeves that long. So if you can imagine what the sleeve length would look like without these white fabric, that's how short it was right there, okay? So I had to figure out, and since kind of my whole color scheme is kind of green and white, I had some extra white fabric, and I just said hey, what do we do? I'm just gonna go ahead and put her. I say mostly my mom helped me with that one there. She's a bit of a seamstress, so she helped me out. So thanks, Mom, if you're watching, really appreciate you. And so I just added sort of things. I would love to see if I could get my Falchion logos, sort of a badge that I could just blaze right here. That would be awesome. But for men, the tunic would be something right here, and then the kirtle, which would be basically like this, but it would be floor length, down to the floor. Depending on certain areas and times, as the medieval period progresses, the idea of having, because right now this is more like a kind of a Norse easy loose type fabric right here. As the periods progress, you kind of see that the clothing changes, and the more closer form-fitting fashion becomes the more trend as well for both men and women. So if you're like, if you really want to get technical, say I'm like, oh hey, this is a specifically part of the 13th or 14th century where things, the form-fitting is coming previous to the Tudor period or whatever. You're like yada 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 yada. So you could go with, again, this is more like a general idea that you could be wearing, or what happened people were wearing back then. So where did we go? Talking too long, my computer fell asleep. It was a long leave, but you're talking too long here. I do apologize for that if I like go on tangents for there, but anyway. So we got the hose, we got the tunic. I guess we'll go ahead and talk about surcoats, because surcoat was a type of thing that both men and women wore. There was a kind of like a male and female version of it. So like I would say, like this would be this is one of the stuff that I have here. This is a surcoat. I don't know if it has like a front or a back. I don't think I bothered. But it's just kind of universal. See if I can go ahead and put this on. I have no idea if I will bother be editing any of this stuff out, but hey, this is what we do on this channel here. Alright. So, this would be, again, I don't know if the green and white and the black go well together, but, this is what I currently have right now. And so, again, I don't know how well you can see going down to the floor right here. Now, mine has a slit down the middle, and that's typical for male surcoats. That's the men's fashion, because for those who are in part of the military and they need to ride onto a horse, that could be a thing. Like if there was no slit in here, you would have this fabric just all bunched up everywhere. But since we have a slit down here, the surcoat can spread, and then as you are sitting on the horse, it doesn't bunch up and get in the way as you're trying to ride. So that's one of the reasons why there was a slit in the center and probably along the back as well. I decided to do the front and the sides. Ladies could have a slit on the side. That was more of the fashion right there. So they wouldn't really need one in the front. But if they wanted to have a slit on the side, sure, yeah, why not? You could do that. Also, the reason it's called a surcoat is because it just goes over it coats over whatever other garment that you have. So for some women, you could have kirtles and then have a surcoat over it. Now, when I say a surcoat, I'm talking about the female surcoat, because this is the male surcoat. It's predominantly has no sleeves. That's kind of one of the main things that helps kind of define it as a surcoat. Because if it had sleeves on it, then I would for women, you'd just be wearing like a kirtle on top of another kirtle, basically. Wouldn't that make sense? So that's one of the kind of defining features of having no sleeves. That's what makes it a surcoat. But the ladies have this wonderful kind of like elegant like cutting in and these long like loops. Like my sleeve right here is cut down right here. Like that, so just big enough for right there. It kind of cuts a nice male imposing figure right there. But if you look at some of the ladies' versions of the surcoat, it has this nice, elegant, deep cutting right here. Not to say that if people wanted to mix and match, you could, I guess, if you wanted to. But generally, one has a more, strong, masculine frame, and one has it more to help accentuate the female frame. So there, we have the different surcoats right there. Now, I know for some of the men involved, some people might think of like that the surcoat is there to just go over armor. That they think that they have, whether it's mail or plate, that's suddenly like, oh, okay, so like that's the only reason. Like, no, you could perfectly go to work just like this. You could go about your day, no armor whatsoever. It doesn't necessarily have to go over, like the surcoat just goes over the normal type of garment right there. And you could do it over armor, which I have here. This is my hoodie, my chain hoodie that I got from Teespring. It's part of the Shadiversity design. Shout out to Shad. Let's see if I can put this on, because this would be another thing that if you're talking about being cold in New England, layers. Ogres have layers. Sorry, I just had to say that line there from Shrek. But yeah, if you just bundle up on layers, that's pretty much how they would handle the cold, and also just the type of fabric that they use, be mostly like wool even during the colder seasons there. But yeah, already if you have like just a plain like kirtle and then a female circle over, that's 2 layers. Along top, if you actually had like some sort of like undershirt underneath, that's 3 layers already. And then if you want to complete the outfit by saying like you're going off, so you might as well take your cloak with you, that's a 4th layer on there. So like yeah, you're going good. So yeah, this would be like, say like this is your armor that you have right here. This would be a weird, so like, I would pretend this would be a hauberk, even though it doesn't go all the way down because it has the long sleeves and the coif attached. But let's say I have my armor, and then I want to put a surcoat on top of it with some sort of like coat of arms. And there, watch me struggle as I try to put all this stuff on here. Okay. Woo. Okay. Okay. Now, all these layers, to quote Gimli, it's a little tight across the chest. Whew. Alright. So, there. That, and we have my hood. How's that? There we go. So that now this is also another option that you have like armor and then a surcoat. Yeah, this would be more like military, but it also work as well. Let's see what else. Do I have a belt? Because belts would be another important thing. I have my scabbard put on here, so that's what I have. Just gonna leave it there. Typical type of belts is the old type of ring belt right there. We'd have the tab go through. Okay, underneath, goes under, goes over, and then through. That is predominantly what we see. Women might have a little bit of variation to, like, be a bit more fancy it up a bit, because we men, we're just simplistic in nature, just get the job done. So that would be typical stuff that you have here. Whew! Already it's getting warm, but then again, I'm indoors. Because yeah, just the different types of like layers that people would have put on there. As far as headwear is concerned, you have, like, see, I have my gambeson right here, which I don't know if I'm going to put on top of here because I'm already getting our. But yeah, this is wool right here. So this would kind of be like, we'll give this a shot here. Whew. So yeah, this would be, again, this is supposed to be like a type of armor right here. But yeah, this is like you would say, like, this would say like a wool jerkin or a kind of tunic like. But yeah, it would be a wool, so it would be much more thermogenic. This is thermogenic. I did a video outside one time and I was just sweating in this thing right here. But the thing that complements this one is the arming cap, which is more military-like, but both men and women had some sort of like cap or bonnet type thing that they could just put on their head, just like that. Don't need to tie it in a knot or anything, but you had sort of like a cap that would go on there, right there. Very protective because like because this is like thick like wool. It's supposed to be protecting so that you could put a helmet on there because you need padding. Because if you put a bare helmet on top of your bare head, not good. It's not gonna go well for your head. So you need some kind of cushioning, and yeah, it's wool. It covers the ears, so that's the good for thermal properties right there. Depending on how well you want to hear, there's a little bit of an echo right here. So like as far as speaking to you guys, I don't know, like you guys don't hear a difference, but yeah, I do. So a little bit right there. As far as like cowls or hoods, it would be kind of, sometimes it'd be like this, but then it would have like sort of like a little bit of a mantle over that you kind of see in some of the artworks there. So let's see if I can do something right here. So it would kind of look a little bit, this is a bath towel, by the way, but it would kind of look something like this right there. So you would have something that would come over there, and then they'll have an attached hood right here. I kind of have like a makeshift one. Again, kind of pulling the curtain back a bit here, you know, like showing you what happens. Like, so this is a hood right here. This is right here. So you want to put this on. There you go. So, if for women, you kind of call this a wimple. This it was be more white, and it would cover something. It would have something that would go so around the chin as well. That would hold in place. The idea of like having like a nice flowing veil. It's more elegant. It's more refined. A lot of women wore that one. The men had something like this, but then it would have like the cowl around it. I'm looking to get one right there. But let's show you, I like to take an extra piece of cloth that just matches this one. And let's see if I take this one here, and if I, so right here, okay, so putting it in the front right there, grabbing it from behind here, I bring it around, there we go, and then, oh boy, the back, there we go. Now you have a nice hood there. Again, little simple tricks that you can do if you want. It doesn't necessarily, it can be sort of like a makeshift little cape that if you want to be aesthetic. It's just the idea of like you have something just thrown about your neck like a little scarf. You know, stuff like that. That could work too. Again, how fancy you want to get, I would love, because I know there's artwork, you've probably seen some of them, where they have like the really long point, like the pointed hood, and I have like this big train coming off. I would love to see one of those. I have no idea how feasible it is to have that thing, whether you could just like whip it back and forth, that'd be fun. But depending on, you know, like how your budget or what you're trying to do, just something fun to try and sit there. Alright. Headwear. Again, I'm trying putting in a bunch of images from a thing of like if I'm forgetting anything at the moment right here, but here's some ideas. So let's see what we talked about. We talked about the hose, tunic, got, yeah, that's the army cap. We got different headwears available. Talked about like the kirtle or the tunic for both men and women. We have different color schemes of what having to do. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna hopefully, because yeah, I'm gonna do this in editing. There's a bunch of color schemes that people wear. You'll find out that green and red, as I mentioned previously, very prominent color scheme that happened. I noticed that blue and red seems to be quite a popular because people like to combine colors with others to make it more specifically just monochromatic, just one color. It's a little bit bland. As soon as you add two, it makes it a lot more interesting. Blue and white, that also seems to be another one as well. Oh, speaking of white, sometimes that the ladies would also have like sort of like a little bit of an apron as well that would help protect if they're specifically, if you're talking about the laborers, the division right there. If you're working, might be there because you could also help carry stuff as well. And also it gives an excuse to have like if you don't have like some sort of like a belt. Sometimes they call it a girdle, I think that was the word. But yeah, like if you have an apron, it's a way to help, you know, tie things around your waist to keep things from like flowing anywhere if you need to. So that's another thing to help look in there. Since I might as well just go ahead and grab some of these things right here, because since I have it on already, here we go. I should probably grab my primary weapon, and yeah, let me grab my sword, because my falchion is one of my favorite swords right there. So there we go. Now I'm ready to go off to war. How do I look? Does it look good? This would be more the military type one right here. I also got the armor, the surcoat. Don't have any shoes. I'm just sucking it up right here, right now. But this would be kind of some of the stuff that you would have. Oh, okay. I'll finish up with cloaks, because cloaks are another thing that we have here. Here. Cloaks could also have a hood attached to the sword and mantle. Sometimes they didn't necessarily. It's kind of like more like a cape type thing. But But then that's another also thing, like if you're like going outside, like, hey, take your cloak with you. And that just goes to show you, like if I had a cloak on this, so like what, I have my regular t-shirt, I have my tunic, I have the surcoat, number one, I have the armor on this one, I have the secondary surcoat, and then I have a cloak over this. Thank God none of this is wool right now, because I would just be unbearable. But yeah, so these are the type of things where like just simple ideas of just wearing more layers and the types of fabric that you have. The cloak designs sometimes kind of look like a punch. Again, this is my bath towel right here. Imagine there is a hole cut in the center right here. We do have kind of certain images of these in the text right there, where somebody just take the printer and just put it into the hole, and you know, you put it over there, and it's sort of like you could sort of because I know there's people like who decide to pull it up, and it's sort of like a sack area that you could hold stuff, and we've seen artwork of people, you know, like sewing grain out of here by just using their cloak right there. So you could have it where it's like has a clasp on the front. So let's say you have your cloak together and it kind of clasps together, or like has a brooch right there, and then you like pull the pin and it comes out. You know. Again, you decide how fancy you want yours to be. It's like, but here's if you can be just simple, and they're like, so yeah, for both men or women, these are the type of things that I would think the medieval fortress. So yeah, if you're going for medieval fortresses, you said you wanted to have like some mostly green. I will say that as far as colors go, the more predominant color that you see is what I would call olive green. I'm going to probably throw up some images right here that you can see. Like you don't see any like real strong like green colors. It's like your kind of like your basic type of green. Whatever. So like if you just wanted to be like a little bit more technical and say like have historical accuracy, saying like you're seeing all these sort of green colors. So like this is kind of like the more average, because in the dyeing process of trying to dye cloth a certain colors are easier. The easiest color, as far from my research, was yellow. So yellow was probably the most predominant color that you could find. It's also maybe interesting why I don't see a whole ton of it in artwork, because maybe that's considered that is like the average. That's the common cloth. Like people want to have like a little bit more fancier clothes, so like they want to have like the better blues and reds and greens and all other colors, and like where the yellow was just like, oh, that is just basic, Mom. I mean, can we just have something a little bit better? Like it's like so 13th century. This is the 14th century now. Can we just not have like yellow at all? Come on, like like I don't know. But so really, you could wear anything you really wanted to, and have like some way of trying to make an excuse for like how your particular character does this certain thing. So like maybe you're in service to a lord, and his color and his heraldry is blue and red, and so as part of your loyalty to your lord, you wear blue and red. Yes, I know you're a forester, and most foresters are kind of green, but you know you're part of your lord, and so you wear the colors of him. You don't necessarily need to blend in, shall we say, with the woods, because the threat is miles away. Like you don't need to be worried about like poachers or enemy coming near. Like you're fine. The military's got that handled. Or you know, for whatever reason, you know, like so. But you know, like if you wanted to have green, hey, go ahead. For me, I would have I like the red and green combo. So I would probably wear my red type of hosen. I would have the olive green, because I'm a dude. I would have the tunic. It would be an olive kirtle if I was female. And then for me, I would have, if I could, like, I would have a reason to sort of say, like, my character would be a little bit more off, that I can afford a more vibrant, deeper green, like, I don't know if I can find it right here, the deeper type of green for like a sort of hood as well. So I could have like, okay, I have red and green, but also have green again to help continue with the whole green thing, but it's a little bit different than the normal green, to have that whole color variation. But that's just me. But I hope this kind of helps. I have no idea how long this was, and it's getting really hot in here, and I'd rather not take my clothes off in front of you, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for all of the support. It's been really amazing. Hopefully tomorrow the Southlander video should be up, part 2 of 4 of the whole Rings of Power, so hope you guys stay for that. And just again want to say thank you again so much for all the support in the comments. Let me know other things that you want to see or talk about. I love talking about it, and if you want me to continue this, that'd be great. Or if you feel like, hey, Levi, I prefer you not talk about or mention me, I'm like, hey, I appreciate that. Just let me know, and I will bring it up. But again, since I'm new and I have no idea what I'm doing, I just want to go and talk about it and show my appreciation. So, thank you guys. God bless.